OCD, it'll drive me nuts.
Okay.
So.
I am going live just to keep what's the thing. Oh, you're gonna just pull it. Gotcha. Okay, I need a glove. An up glove. What's up, everyone? Hello, welcome back to our normal Monday at 5. I hope everyone had a good, happy Easter. We are going to be back rocking and rolling at our normal Mondays. I'm going to warm up as per normal. When you guys have any questions, if this is your first time, just ask questions, fire away. We're going to go through them as rapidly as I can for an hour. And yeah, as soon as there's enough people rocking in here, and Joey, what's up, dude? And yeah, as soon as enough questions, we'll start rocking and rolling. So that's some warm-ups for your viewing pleasure. And then we'll rock. I'm going to do the questions again. I guess so. I got to pay attention to them. Swing feels good. I even chipped and putted today a little, Mayor. Chipping was good. Putting was good. Let's see. The Gabe Project. What's up, man? What's going on? Joey, what's your opinion on the Tour Striker impact strap? I like it a lot. I don't have it over here, but I do. I have used it, and I like it a ton. So the impact strap, for those who don't know, is something that you put on that kind of connects the club to your lead wrist, where it would keep the angle between the club and your arm constant. So for those of you, a lot like me, who would have like an early extension pattern during the downswing that would tend to have the shaft very vertical at impact, it helps keep that angle tighter, which forces the forward flexion and right side bend down through impact. So I really like it as a tool to help feel what you need to do with your body angles during the downswing follow through. Rick says, show us Mary. We never get to see the girl behind the camera. At some point in time, she will show face, but it's kind of cool now. It's kind of like a secret thing. Who is Mary? What does she look like? I don't know.
She's getting her haircut tomorrow, so she never should.
Yeah, one day we'll get
100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, one day we'll get her back in front. Once we do so we're doing these golf schools this year. Speaking of, little plug, we're going to be doing these 3-day golf schools. If you guys are interested in coming up for golf schools, we have some dates lined up. You may see her in front of the camera for the golf schools, but if not, you will definitely see her in person. So if you want to come see,
if you want to see me,
yeah, if you want to see Mary very badly, you can come to a golf school. Bill, love your vlogs. Thank you. Very informative question. Is the release for iron swings different than the driver release? No, it's not. Now, how you're going to release the club is going to depend on some variables, primarily the grip. So the weaker your grip pattern would be, so the more the V's would be kind of over at on your left side, like so. The weaker your grip pattern is, the more you need to flex your lead wrist and or add a lot of lead arm supination, trail arm pronation. If you have a stronger grip, V's more right collarbone, right shoulder, you have a little bit more drive hold release. And this also depends on your body angles, the ball position, your swing direction, etc. In your release pattern. But whatever you do with your irons, you're going to more or less do with your driver in terms of release pattern. Now, obviously, you're set up with your driver. You're going to have more tilt. The ball will be more forward. You're going to probably have a little bit more right side bend. You're going to have a little bit more up with your angle of attack. So that will inherently change a few things. But what you were intentionally trying to do in terms of your release pattern probably is not going to change now. Roman just bought a 3, 4, and 5 irons. Hope it helps my game because I have trouble hitting woods out of the grass. Yeah, hitting fairway woods off the turf for most people just doesn't provide enough return on investment to take the risk. So what I would do is I would get hybrids or irons, whatever, kind of depending upon your club head speed. I'd say the higher your club head speed, the more you can get away with 3, 4, 5 irons. The lower the club head speed, the more the hybrids might be beneficial because the way they're designed to get the ball high enough if you don't have enough speed. And hitting out of the rough, etc. But yeah, that's cool, man. I just wouldn't hit fairway woods a lot out of fairway or rough. I don't think scoring wise it makes a lot of sense. Statistically, the deal is like the closer you can get to the hole, the better your score range is going to be. Like your shitty 50-yard shot is going to usually be better than your shitty 100-yard shot. So like the closer you can get, the better. But if you top a 3-wood or really chunk one 2 out of 3 times, you're better off just hitting a 5-iron than wedging on from there. What's the best way to determine what style of putter is best for you? Thanks. I would go get a putter fitting. I mean, there's different things you can get in terms of the style of the putter. Should you get a blade, a mallet, a big putter, a small putter? What kind of grip should you get? Should you get a narrow grip, a thicker grip? What kind of grip should you have? Traditional? Are you overlapping left hand low? What's the weighting on it? Should you go more center shafted? Do you go more traditional? Do you get an offset? So there's so many variables in there. I would go get a putter fitting. I've been to some fitting places before where they do some really awesome stuff in terms of how they change the actual what the putter head is, and then how they draw or don't draw lines on it. And then, most all people that I've seen in a putter fitting aim really poorly. And so they can do a lot of really cool things to kind of trick your eyes back into aiming properly and then change the weighting stuff. So I would go get a fitting would be the best way how. Joe, are you going to record the golf schools for us to see after the fact? Not the entire things. Like we're going to be recording more live lessons. I think we have one coming up tomorrow. Yep. Another live lesson that was recorded that'll come up on YouTube tomorrow. Basically what we're doing with the lessons is we're going to film like once per week right now, a new lesson, just kind of randomly someone that comes in. And then Mary takes that video and kind of there's a YouTube version. So we'll post a portion of the video up. That'll probably be between like 5, 10, 15 minutes, most of them. Yeah. So it's a 60-minute, 1-hour lesson that you would see like 5, 10, 15 minutes of. And then those full lessons we're going to put on cogornogolf.com. For the members, premium members in there. So if you do want to see the full lessons, they will be on cogornogolf.com. You have to pay $39 a month for that, but those will be over there. Do you like the Metakiss? I do like the Metakiss. Back way in the day, I had that old Metakiss. Pretty sure it was a Metakiss, the one where like broke. I think it was a Metakiss. I got. I used to I watch a golf channel. I'm like, oh, this is Mark O'Meara was using. I remember the one time. I was like, this has got to be the secret to my swing. And I got that Metakiss. I used to do 100 swings a day out in my garage. I don't know that it helped all that much because I still really rolled on the way back. But yeah, I like the weighted clubs. I think thing like that's cool. Ultimately, what I like is a video where you have feedback, pairing that with a coach like me who kind of knows what they're doing to guide you through it, and then you giving yourself feedback and exaggerating. That's what actually works. A training aid that can get you closer to that is cool. Hi, Eric, push or pull? No, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Ask that a little different if you can. Push or pull? I just hit them straight. Jonathan. Notice my handle of my club gets horizontal, and I'm not sure what that word is even, away from me, rolls maybe, goes away from me, opposed to facing the ground and pointing away from me. Is this indicative for? I noticed my handle of my club gets horizontal and roll away from me, opposed to facing the ground, pointing away from me. Jonathan, again, ask that differently, Jonathan Villa. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Max, do you consciously torque the handle from the top of the swing? So I don't, but at the top of the swing, if I'm neutral with my wrist conditions and club, if I normally come down normal, let's say my lead wrist is flat, neutral grip, left wrist flat, club face square, which is just kind of parallel to my forearm. When I work down, I want to kind of maintain that position so I'm not doing a ton. If I normally come down and I go this way where I cup, or I have some kind of this, right, where I'm coming down and I cup and the shot gets steep, then I would torque it, right, or I would kind of bow it down when I come down to square the club face. If you're getting the face too open in transition, there's like 9 million things that can go wrong later and probably will. And so I would absolutely do something like that in transition. I don't think you need to. I don't think from the top you have to kind of screw it down. But if your face is too open, it's not the worst idea. I would just say, like, make sure your face is really strong and everything is at the top, and then more of a maintaining on the way down. But I got some people who really like to kind of torque it down in transition. I got people who like to turn it down in here, and I got people who like to turn it down at the bottom. So it's just different ways to go about doing that. Josh, hey, I had a tough time in my tournament this weekend. Had a lot of big fades to the left, and it killed my round. What grip should I have to fix it? Absolutely no idea. I would have to see your swing to say that. I could give some kind of generalization like, hey, if you overfade the ball, you might have a weaker grip, but like that's a really general thing for me to say. If I could see your swing, I could tell you in like 2 seconds why you hit a fade and how to fix it. But to do that, you need to go to cogornogolf.com and join the membership. And then you can get in the Facebook group and post your swings up, and I'll tell you in like 30 seconds. Tomas Espinosa. That's a cool name, huh?
Good name.
Hi, Eric. How can I improve hitting the center of the club? No idea. Would have to see why you're not, and I don't mean, I'm not being like a dick. Like, how can so like, how to fix a fade, or like when you guys have questions like that, or how to hit the center of the face, it depends on why it's happening, right? So like, why are you fading it? Figure that out, and then figure out how to fix it. Why are you not hitting the center of the face? Are you hitting more towards the heel or the toe? It could be a setup thing. It could be a ball position thing. It could be a shoulder tilt thing. It could be a swing direction thing. It could be a grip thing. It could be a wrist condition thing. mean, there's so many ways to do it. I can give you some kind of like quick little drill to do, but is that going to actually change it? No. I would again, I'd check out GornoGolf.com, post your swing up, and then I can tell you very easily how you're doing it and how to fix it. And I think you guys too, when you're checking that out, like what's the barrier holding you back from checking out the membership site? Like, is it the $39 a month? Is it uncertainty that I would like fix it? Like if I saw your swing video, I could tell you literally in like 2 seconds how to fix everything. So if it's not $39, go join there and post it on, then I'll fix it for you. Joey, what's your take on why range practice doesn't translate to course even when you're hitting well on the range? There's a couple variables. Number one would be nothing's like the real thing. Like me giving a speech in front of a mirror versus 10,000 people, me learning to drive in a parking lot versus the actual highway, like things like that, right? Like you're never going to me taking batting practice versus being an actual game with live pitching, shooting free throws by yourself versus a game, right? Everything's different like that. So that's part of it. You inherently can't practice anything like it's going to be. You have to be in the fire doing it. Second part would be, you get the best you can, make your practice similar to that environment. So I think a lot of people don't do that, meaning if you're really hitting it well in the range and you're hitting 10 7-irons in a row and grooving it, you never do that on the course. You hit 1 7-iron, you wait for everyone else to hit, you walk, right? And then you chip, you putt, you walk, and 15 minutes later you hit a driver and then a wedge. And that might be it. You might hit 1 7-iron an hour. So it's inherently just a completely different ball game. So those are probably the 2 main reasons. Johnny, having trouble shifting my weight, any drills? So if you're saying shifting your weight forward, I would want to see your swing and say, hey, is there a reason why that's going on? Something earlier? Assuming not. No, I don't think any kind of tricks or drills. I would say if you're having trouble shifting weight, put your phone on and record yourself from face on and go up to the top and feel like you shift pressure into your lead side. Not this way, but you're shifting down and forward this way. Like a lot, and then record it and see if you actually do or not. And if you don't, put your phone back up, record yourself again, and do it even more. There's some things you can do where you can put a club underneath your foot, your trail foot, and swing and try and make sure that club comes out, push off objects like that. But I would go the feedback route and just really exaggerate, because if you know what your problem is, where you hang back, you don't need a trick to fix that, right? You have to exaggerate a lot more. Let's see. Mr. Sandy, what's up? It seems like great ball players all match their shaft impact plane to their shaft address plane looking down the line. Do you teach this or believe this? Yes, I do. Most of them are on, a lot of them slightly above. So if I were to look at, we just did a video, Sandy, on shaft plane where I kind of answered this a little more in detail if you want to watch that at some point. But if I were to draw a line up the shaft that I would start with, at impact, I'm looking to more or less get back to that. But most players you'll see will go slightly, will be just slightly vertical of that original shaft plane line. But I'm a big advocate if you draw that line up the shaft. And when I say I'm a big advocate, I mean like I've just watched a decade worth of golf swings and really good players almost all do it. Meaning like that original shaft plane, they ride more or less up that with the club head. They go slightly vertical of it, parallel to it. Club head rides on the plane and then exits back pretty darn close to it. Like getting your club head to match that shaft plane is like, to me, almost a no-brainer. With the passive release, Frank, what's up, dude? With the passive release, where's the club face at the top of the follow through? Does the face roll over at any point? Yeah, so if you're going to go more passive, right, assuming you have a strong enough grip pattern and you're going to go more kind of drive hold like this, then the face through won't have as much roll. If you have a weaker grip pattern, more like a Hogan pattern, and you're going to have more lead wrist flexion and more supination, the face will be turned to the plane a little more. So this would be more lead wrist, would be more here. If I was going more drive hold, you would get the leading edge of the club about on my spine line when I get to about here. So that's where it about be. So if you think leading edge pointed straight to the left, I would say just a little bit vertical of that. If you're doing more drive hold parallel to the spine line, and then gradually that's going to have some rotation up to the top from there would be the checkpoint. David, hey Eric, when reviewing one swing, how is arm overrun identified? And what is a good arm structure drill? Or what's a good arm structure look like at the top? Specifically right elbow relationship to the camera. Thanks, man. So arm overrun. So we did a YouTube video called 3 Reasons Your Swing is Too Long and How to Fix Them. If you search that, David, you'll this will be a lot more detail than I'm going to explain now. But when you go up to the top, if you're talking like it's going too far this way, arm over, yeah. So if your arms are going too far here, There's a couple of things that could be going on. Number one, if you get too long, it could be because there's too much hinge of the lead wrist. You have to take that part out. It could be because your arms bend too much, which is usually because you don't turn enough, and you need to turn more so that you can create width. And it's really all about the trail arm at the top. Like I want the trail arm to be roughly 90 degrees. Some go a little more narrow, some this way. But if you keep your trail arm 90 out here, right? Let's say I take my normal setup and I go up and I make a turn and I get my trail arm 90 degrees. If I go to about 120 and I reach my left arm up to get that, I have to have a huge turn to be at 120, right? So here's 90, here's 120. For me to get that, I gotta really turn a lot. If I bring that 90 into about 45, I can get to that easily. So I would say go to the top, get 90, go to 120, and then reach for that, and that would be your feel. You could do things like putting a tour striker ball between your arms or a range bucket or things like that would help as well. You can do we did a video on connection at Infinity over the winter. It was like the 2 best drills for connection where I did the tour striker ball. And Mary will see if she can post some of these videos up. I did a tour striker ball and then I put a drill with the alignment rod under the trail arm like this. And so if I put it underneath my right arm with most of it hanging out in front, when I go back, when that hits my lead arm, I stop. And then I start to work back down. Whereas, so that would kind of prevent my run on, right? If I made a big turn back, but as soon as that stick hits my lead arm, I would stop. That would be another drill you can do for that. Let's see. David. Mary's on there. Golf skills, beautiful. Should I try and hit the ball straight or move it left to right? Yeah, I think good players, like about probably a third of them hit fades, a third of them hit it pretty straight, a third of them hit a draw. I think from a mathematical dispersion standpoint, you can make a strong argument that you should try and hit a curve instead of just straight. So most players, I would say, I try and keep really neutral. Like if someone comes to see me, I try and keep their path within 3 of either side. And so that the curves are small. So if they want to hit fades or draws, I wouldn't let them get outside of 3. So even if they miss, it's a baby push or a baby draw or a baby pull or fade if they want to go fade. So I would keep that tight. And then what I really want to build in is you have to start the ball on the same side of the target every time and then create a draw. So let's say you wanted to play a fade. I would really work on getting every ball started left, start left, start left, never push one, start left, and then curve everyone to the right, curve it right, and then pull the curve off of it and keep your path neutral. But so I would say yes, I would probably build in a small curve pattern, small meaning like the ball goes up and doesn't curve a lot and more or less just kind of falls down. Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott? Come on, dude. Silly question. Of course, Carson Wentz. Let's see, Larry, what's your opinion on the feel of leading the downswing with your trail elbow? Right elbow. So I don't like the idea of, so a lot of people, when they say try and get their elbow in front, end up doing this motion where they pull down this way. So they try and get their elbow in front in terms of like downward. The problem of that is, you see what happens to the shaft? Does it go shallow or does it go steep? It goes more towards steep when you pull straight down, right? If I just pull down this way, now if I take my elbow and get it in front of me this way, when it goes out, now the shaft goes down. So if I pull my elbow down towards the ground, the shaft goes vertical, okay? Which then from there, I'm gonna have to do what? Stand up to shallow it. When my chest gets farther, I need to what? Lengthen my arms, release my wrist conditions, contact issues, no rotation, no face control. If I get my elbow from the top to go in front of me, which is external rotation in transition, now that shaft lays down more. Now, why do I want to lay the shaft down? Because now I don't have to shallow it. It's already back on my original plane line to Sandy's point before. So now I have freedom to rotate, keep my arm bent, keep my wrist bent, keep my forward bend, right side bend, and turn. It's all about where the shaft is, right? So to answer that shaft plane question before, absolutely. If my shaft is vertical of the plane I'm going to swing on, every single time, if I have any kind of eye-hand coordination, I'm going to stand up to shallow it. Here's me bent over. Now, when I stand up, what happens to the shaft? It shallows, right? Here's me standing up. Now, what happens if I go down? If I get my chest down, it steepens the shaft. So you got to match those two pieces together like a math equation. You want a steep body, chest down, right shoulder down, with a shallow shaft, and those two pieces match together. Or you're going to get a steep shaft with a shallow body, and that's a problem. I don't know what your question was, but I just went off a tangent there. So that's trail elbow. So you want the trail elbow more this way, not down. Should you feel that? I'd have to see it. If you feel it and it accomplishes what we're trying to do, then fine. I don't typically say that often or recommend that, so I guess I'm not a huge advocate of it. Where should my right elbow be at the top of the backswing? If you search my name and right arm, you'll find a YouTube video that's 10 plus minutes that goes over that in depth. And I say that because like you'll get a lot more than what I could say here. I want the right arm roughly 90 degrees at the top. Where it's going to be in space depends on if you want more internal rotation or external rotation. If you want more external rotation, when you go back, your elbow will be more in front of you. So here would be, so here's my side of my body. Here's my elbow basically right on that line, but with width. That would be more external rotation. If I want more internal rotation, like this look, then my forearm would be more parallel to my spine line. Then I have a little bit of width with that. And so I would look more here at the top. I'd look more there at the top. Different, both of them are fine. If I go more this way, my right arm's more out, my elbow's more out this way, that can have more speed and better, easier for me to shallow if I have a good pivot. Or I can go more this way, where my elbow's more in, elbows closer together, and then I don't have to shift as much on the way down. There's just different ways to do it. Let's see. Got your reverse slice program, awesome for irons. Well, thank you. But still have an issue with my driver leaking out to the right. No slice to the high fade. Did the stronger grip more in the outswing. Did the stronger grip more, did the stronger grip more in the outswing. Part of it, yeah, but I mean, if the ball's still so the reverse slice program we did was all about curve left, curve left, curve left, curve left, curve left. So if the ball's still fading to the right, you still didn't get the face right with that. Now, as the clubs get longer and your driver, right, the loft is lower, the face to path is different, the spin loft is different, so it's gonna curve more, meaning a 4-degree access tilt with a sand wedge is not gonna curve a lot. A 4-degree access tilt with a 7-iron is gonna curve more than a sand wedge. A 4-degree access tilt with a driver is gonna curve more, meaning if you had the same spin access on the ball with the longer club, it's gonna curve more. Why? Because it's traveling a farther distance at a higher ball speed, right? And those spin rates are different. So I would say that necessarily doesn't mean you need to do anything different. I would just check the grip position, check the rotation pieces. Remember the face tilted down on both sides and get them hooking left first and then change your face. Again, if I could see your swing, I'd be able to kind of crank it up pretty quickly. Josh, how to shallow? Yeah, a million ways to do it. Search my name in shallow and you will see a lot of videos. We did a shallow masterclass program that's super in depth where it goes through it. We have probably, I don't know, 10 videos at least, maybe more. Mary put the masterclass link. We have a ton of videos on how to shallow. So this being a rapid fire, I could spend 10 hours talking about that. But if you search those videos, hopefully that'll help you there. How to grip neutrally. So I prefer to have both V's of the hands in line with about the right collarbone for a neutral grip. So that's how much I would turn it. I would lay the grip depending upon what you want to do. Some people go more 90 degrees like this. Some people go a little bit more from kind of this knuckle through here, diagonal. I go a little more diagonal with my left. Heel pads on top, thumbs on the right. I cover this thumb with kind of the middle of my right hand crevice. And then this is kind of my normal pattern there like that. So V's at your trail collarbone would be about what I'm looking for. Hands inside of left thigh, face square on the ground. There'll be a little cup in your left wrist. Your trailer should be pretty flat. Josh, how to shallow? Cheated by takeaway, way inside and try and keep it there. The way down doesn't look natural enough. Yeah, no, I would get your takeaway neutral. So I would check our takeaway videos, get here, club it in line with the hands, boom. I'd go up through my right pec with the club inside ball line, shoulders 90 degrees in my back line. I'd get my hands about here, left arm on shoulder, club down the line, wrist conditions neutral. I'd pivot well, and then I'd learn how to lay it down from there. How to do that, for me to tell you that, I need to know where you're coming from. I need to be able to see your swing to say, hey, this is specifically what you should do. So obviously you can check out GornoGolf.com if you want to post your swing up there, or check out the shallow videos, or the masterclass will help you. Jason, how do you know when you're standing too close to the ball? Any good setup drills? Yeah, you're looking for back of armpits over the balls of the feet. Thank you again, George Gankus. I just got to say it every time I say this, apparently. So when you take your normal setup, let's go like this. If I take my normal setup position, I want to get the back of my armpits over the balls of my feet, just forward of where the end of my laces are, kind of where my toes meet the base of my foot with my kneecaps in line. Hopefully you can see that okay there like that. If I get too close to the ball, right, a lot of times when I get too close to the ball, I'm going to get my weight back on my heels to make up for that. So the back of the armpits will sit more in the middle of the feet, and your butt line will be too far behind your heel line. Or if someone's too far, normally they'll move their balance points, a little burp there for you. Normally they'll move their balance points forward where their back of the armpits are over their toes. So what I would say, how to get distance away from the ball is learn balance points first. Take your normal setup. Get back of armpits over the balls of the feet. Let your arms hang straight down. So your shoulders, elbow, and hand. Can you snatch that? Shoulders, hands, straight line down in front of the toes. And that would be how far away. And I just clasp my hands together, and that would be my club motion. So that would be what I would normally do there. That's how I would do the piece. Let's turn that. Josh on the Facebook page. Oh, awesome, good. Yeah, Josh, if you're a member of CogornoGolf.com, then post your swing up, dude, and I'll tell you exactly what you got to do. Figure that out. I'm trying to bow my wrist, but it gets flat if anything. I also think I need alignment section. It's my face. Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, dude. Post your swing up and ask your question there, and I'll check your swing out and give you feedback. Joey, have you read the oops? Joey, have you read The Golfing Machine? If so, what did you like and not like? I have read The Golfing Machine. I had to reread it about 100 times. I probably first read The Golfing Machine like 12 years ago. Understood absolutely nothing. Read it the second time. Understood about 5%, 10%. I mean, it's super in depth. I mean, they didn't, like Homer Kelly, he didn't have the science back then to measure everything. So there's some things that aren't quite 100% science accurate, but he got a lot of good baseline stuff to work on that kind of built a lot of the Morad stuff, right? That kind of turned into a lot of stack and tilt. That's kind of a lot of new stuff that originated from the Golfing Machine guys. So he definitely pushed the industry forward big time. Peter, hello, Eric. What's the drill to have my hand in front of the ball at impact? Yeah, no good drill for that, man. I think it really, I guess some of those videos are coming out. How to get your hands forward to get shaft lean. If you kind of search my name in shaft lean, you'll see a lot of that. If your hands aren't forward, there's a reason why that's happening. You have to figure out what that is and fix that. For most people, the club, it's either two things, usually. The club face is too open at some point in time, and you are flipping to square the face, or the shaft is too steep, and you're flipping to shallow the angle of attack. So you got to figure out why you get what you get. We did a couple different videos with the hanger and kind of compression drills and shaft lean that'll go into more detail, where if you can get back here into a delivery position, let's even say you're in here in the downswing, and get the club head inside your hands, make sure the face is tilted down, maybe 30, 45 degrees. Make sure your wrist conditions are tilted down depending upon your grip. So you're here, and then you got to turn from here, learn how to rotate from there and hit shots. So I would go normal setup. Sorry about that. I'd go normal setup, club head in line, hands, preset your body open, tilt the face down, and learn how to turn your body through with that position. You have to have a good club face and a good swing direction. If you have those two things, then you can add the rotation pieces that are required to get your hands forward. But if you see a flip at impact and you're trying to do a drill to fix a flip, you're going to be doing that for a decade. It's not going to work, right? Or else it would have worked already. You have to find root causes for why it's happening and then fix it that way. That's the reality of it. Some people might not like that. How long should you stand over the ball in a static position before taking a backswing? Not very long. What I like to do in a pre-shot routine, I'd be back here. I do 2 swings behind the ball. First one's a half swing. Second one's a full swing. I'm feeling whatever I'm going to feel. Like for me right now, I'm feeling my right shoulder and my right hip turning sooner during the downswing. So I'd go a little half one feeling it, full one feeling it. Behind the ball, visualize my shot, step up, take my setup, club first, feet, grip. One look at the target, waggle, back to the ball. Second look at the target, back to the ball. As soon as I get to the ball, then I hit. So whenever I get my eyes back to the ball, that's kind of my trigger to go right away. So not a lot of time over it. Jim, what's up, buddy? Hope you're feeling better. I do feel good. Just got good news from the doctor last week because all your amazing videos, I'm able to fix my problem with myself. Awesome, dude. That's good news, Jim. Happy to hear that you're feeling well. Tomas again. Do you have like a checkpoint you use before every shot in the course to keep your level? Do you have like a checkpoint you use every shot in the course to keep your level? I have checkpoints that I use like feel-wise. I think I use checkpoints in my practice with video that I would use. If you search my name and checkpoints, I'm going to stop saying search my name because hopefully you guys know that already, but maybe you don't. So maybe I should keep saying that. We have PGA Tour checkpoints, we have backswing checkpoints, downswing checkpoints. I would use those in practice. I normally start very well, but fade in the last 4 holes. Most of my handicap comes from those holes. A lot of times if you fade at the end, that is a energy level, focus level, nutrition thing. So I would check things like hydration. How hydrated are you through the whole round? Are you eating something, and what are you eating throughout the round that you can have focus and energy levels for the full round? Or at the end, are you starting to think about, hey, my score is this, and then you start going off because of that? So I would say that's probably less of a mechanics thing. In fact, I'm sure that's less of a mechanics thing. There is absolutely no chance that your swing mechanics all of a sudden, all the time at the end would go off, right? That's not reasonable. What goes off would be your mental, right? So between your ears, that controls part of that. But your swing mechanics wouldn't just change. How can I stop moving my hands and shoulders first in the downswing? Robert, so I would start using your lower body, right? So if normally you go here, I'm assuming from the top you have more of this sort of action. So I would say when you go up, I mean, there's different drills you could do, but you go up, have your left hand, trail hand at the top, put your right hand behind it, and keep that up there. So push with your right hand so your left hand stays up, and learn how to get your lower body going before your arms and hands would come down. So I'd go like here, up to the top, normal setup, go up, take your right hand off, put it underneath your left, keep your left hand where it is, don't let it come down at all, and learn how to push down and forward and open up your body motions while that arms and hands stay up. Would be one little drill feel. Are you really in Bethlehem, PA? Yes, I am. Oyster Raven Gat. Yeah, go Hounds. Yes, yeah, that's right. We are in Bethlehem, PA. Our course route's probably like literally 1.5 miles from Ravens. So that's like right down the street. I have issues with pain in my left hand. Only happens during the golf season. Any ideas? No idea. No. Oh, it's Gabe. Yeah, no idea, dude. I would talk to a doctor on that one. Do you see the swing more of an oval shape or a circle? More of a circle. Willis, I don't believe you've ever discussed dropping the hands down into the slot. If you search my name in shallow, you'll see that. And I talk about the difference between where the hands would go and where the shaft would go. If you're at the top, depending upon where you get at the top, let's say during the backswing, your hands work slightly in and up, and then they're through your right pec at left arm parallel, up over your trail shoulder. I want them going back down just in front of your right pec at last parallel. Then they're working down and out until about the right thigh. And then from there, they're working back up and in to the left. And that also assumes your pivot is good, the body rotation, stuff like that. Really struggling to get shaft play and impact close to at address. Handle elevation. I've tried with small swings and videos too. Any good tips? Yeah, I would say you check your body angles. So when you come down, if I make a downswing, here's my chest. I'm making up numbers here, 4 feet from the ground. Okay, now at 4 feet from the ground, I could keep my arms bent and turn. Now, if I get my chest really far away from the ground, now I need to do what with my arms and hands? Lengthen them, which is gonna make the shaft go which way? Up high. So when I need to get down to the ball, if I get my body farther from the golf ball, I need to do something to get down to the ball. And if I needed to do that, here's my wrist conditions. Now here's my club down on the ground there. I have to really fully unhinge my club to get down to the ground. When I unhinge my club, does that make the shaft go more vertical or lower? It goes more vertical. If I wanted to have the shaft lower, I'd have to have more what? I'd have to have more hinge, right? Now, if I wanted to have the shaft lower with more hinge, how do I get that club down to the ground? Well, I have to have some unhinge, but I also got to get my butt down there, right? I got to get me down there. If me, get farther from the ground, I have to unhinge and lengthen my arms just to lengthen the radius to get to the ball. And when I unhinge, that makes the shaft go more vertical, right? So put your body in a position to help that. Glenn, is that full follow through where the driver club head is practically pointing at the target? Something amateurs should have. Is that full follow through? Driver club head to the target. So I would say full follow through would be here. So I would say no, driver club head wouldn't be all the way turned to the target. It would be more kind of perpendicular, pointed directly away from me at the top. I think that's what you're saying. Jim, right-handed and swing left-handed. Are there any differences I should work on to have consistent act? Nope. I would just use normal swing model checkpoint, see where you're off, record yourself, give yourself feedback, and adjust those parts. Greetings. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Germany, Germany, Germany. Frank, Eric, I'm trying to shorten my backswing and the drills you suggest in your video. With a shorter backswing, impact feels solid, but I seem to be hitting topspin knuckleballs that hook. Shorten your swing, hitting knuckleballs that hook all of a sudden. No, I don't know. I got nothing. I'd have to see your swing for that one. I don't know that I see a correlation between you shortening your swing and all of a sudden hitting hooks or getting less spin. You have anything on that one? I got nothing. No, Frank, I don't know what the two are. I mean, meaning like is inherently your swing being shorter causing that, or when you're going shorter, something else is happening that's causing that. So I don't know. I'd have to see your swing on that one. Josh, I'm a right-handed golfer. And on my backswing, I feel that I'm too flat on the backswing. My left-hand knuckles are facing the sky, and I have a tendency of pull hooking my. Yeah. So Josh, good. So you identified your issue. When you go back, when you're too flat, the main thing that's going to dictate whether the shaft is vertical or flat is your arm rotation. So if we were to look at hand to elbow, right? If I go back and I have, let's say it's neutral shaft, and I just add arm rotation, so forearm rotation will make the shaft go more flat, and then nicely, less forearm rotation will make it go more vertical. How do I get a shaft from too flat during my backswing to more vertical? I take the forearm rotation out. How do I do that? I, from address, have no forearm rotation until I get there. And I give myself feedback with a video. I use checkpoints and I exaggerate those fields accordingly. Arm rotation is the #1 variable that's going to make the shaft go flat or vertical. Now, of course, there are other things. One of them is shoulder plane. When I go back, the more flat I turn my shoulders, usually the more forearm rotation there is, and I get a flat shaft. If I were here and I just steepen my shoulders, what happens to my shaft? I'm changing nothing other than I'm just making my left shoulder go more down. Where'd the shaft go? It went more vertical. So when I make a backswing, if I get my shoulders tilted a little bit more vertical, 90 to my back line, left shoulder more down, it's easier for me to have less arm rotation and go more vertical. So if your knuckles are up towards the sky, logo up towards the sky, that's a too much arm rotation. Feel your knuckles more down towards the ground, right? Really, it would be your knuckles more straight away from you, but you have to exaggerate more down towards the ground. So that's arm rotation. Robert, how do you make your wrist passive when starting the downswing? Grip pressure that's not ridiculous. Your wrist passive can only be passive if they're in a really good position at the top. So if you have a neutral grip and your lead wrist is really flat and the club face is square, then you don't have to do that. If you're like this at the top, you can't be passive. You got to be really active. If you're bowed at the top, you can be passive. So if you're flat to bowed with a neutral grip and you're facing a strong position, then you can be passive and use your pivot. If you're not, passive is not realistic. You got to be very active. So that's what I would say with that. And grip pressure. Okay, Mary posted the shallow stuff on there. Is your average round of golf, do you ever feel like fatigue from swinging a club starts to prohibit your good swing mechanics? I personally don't, but like I go to the gym for an hour every day, 7 days a week for years. So if you don't do that, right, then probably, I would say it would be a common thing for a normal person who doesn't maybe like fanatic about their fitness and nutrition to get tired at the end of a round of golf. The reality is it's 5 hours. You're outside, you're trying to focus, you're swinging a club hard, and you're probably not super hydrated and eating well like most people. So I'd say that's super common. The fixes are what we just talked about, like nutrition, overall fitness levels, preparing yourself for that, right? That's the real answer. I don't think there's any sort of tricks not that you're looking for it. But I'd say improve your overall health and wellness, and then that will get easier. When approaching greens higher than you, pitching or full shots, do you advise approaching with high? This is a good question. Do you advise approaching with high shots for the opposite greens below? I find low shots, but yes, that's a very good question. Not that the rest of your questions aren't good, but that's a good one. When the greens are elevated, yes, I would in fact hit a higher shot for the purpose of, I want my landing angle to be more vertical. If I'm hitting on if I'm going up on a green, I want the landing angle to be more vertical to match that angle. Meaning if I went up, if I had something above me and I had a really low shot coming in, the ball would hit and have no chance there. Contrary, if I had something low, I want a more penetrating shot that's going to travel into that low green compared to the house. Yes, I'd go higher for high shot, lower for a low shot. I don't know if I explained that well there or not, but that was the idea. That's a very good question too. Is it possible to be too shallow? Yes, it is. At P6, I see on video the club head is still inside my hands. Or there's a difference between being too shallow versus pulling the hands down. Yeah, there's a difference between being too shallow and pulling the hands down. there is such thing as too shallow. What you're going for during your downswing is trying to, let's say you take your normal setup, record yourself from down the line, and draw a line up the shaft at address. So this would be kind of like this. You want during your downswing that club head to ride right on that line. Can you be too far under? Absolutely. You would get typically pushes and hooks, maybe some fats and thins, heels and toe shots from that. You would need to get back more on plane. We did some videos on how to cure your hook for good. We'll give you some drills. You could put a little alignment stick behind you, a range bucket, or alignment rod in front of you to fix that. But you can definitely be too shallow. I've been too shallow for like a decade before because I didn't used to ever record my swings. You just guess. Stupid. Nolan, no. I don't know what that means. Yeah. Are there other ways to hinge the wrists? So like technically speaking, hinging would just be, you could have a vertical hinge, which is radial deviation, or you can unhinge, which is ulnar deviation. That's really the vertical component. So you go up, radial, unhinge would be ulnar. You can also flex a wrist, which would be in like this, like a forearm curl, or you can extend a wrist, which would be here like so. So I can go up, down, in, out. Boom, 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 boom. That's kind of the idea behind the wrist conditions there. Up, down, in, and out with the wrist conditions. Trying to avoid going back over the top, but notice my divots are pointing way right. Hence the question. Is it possible to be too shallow? Oh, yeah. So yes, you can be too shallow. If your divots are too right, you're too shallow. So you have to fix that. Scott, how important is maintaining contact of the inner left arm to the torso during the downswing and to impact? How important is this specific element of the swing to square face? Scott, I'd say this isn't universal for everyone. I have people that keep their lead arm against their pec longer and people who keep it on there less. It depends on a lot of factors. It depends on how much body rotation you have. So when I go back, my lead arm will be against my pec. The more that I open my chest sooner, and my chest and shoulders, the more that I open my chest and shoulders sooner from the top, the less my left arm will be against my pec. The more I keep my chest and shoulders closed in transition, the more my left arm will go against my pec. So I'd say at the top, if you're going 45 or 90 degree shoulder turn, and then by the time you get back down to, let's say, left arm parallel, your shoulders are still 35, 45 closed, then your lead arm would still be against your pec pretty tight there, and you kind of maintain it to about last parallel. And then from last parallel through, the left arm would fly off your pec more in the follow through. I wouldn't keep my left arm against my pec through the entire follow through. And it just depends on the pattern. Someone who's up at the top, who opens up sooner, that's going to fly off more. And then usually they're going to go a little bit more tilty at the bottom to shallow it out. It also depends on hand depth up top. The deeper I am at the top and the deeper I stay in transition, the more I'll be on it. If I were to go more vertical at the top like this, then my left arm's not against my pec. And then usually my hand path has to go more straight down, and then I'll reconnect in transition. So it kind of depends. You have a thought? Oh, okay. Thought you were getting ready to say something. Okay. Are you a protege of gang? No, but I'd like to be. I like watching George's stuff. I hope at some point in time, him and I can do some videos together, maybe do some golf schools and stuff like that. I love George's stuff. He might be the most, like when I started watching some of his stuff online, the most knowledgeable coach in terms of being able to kind of break down a swing and put the pieces together. So I think his stuff is awesome. I studied a lot of Morad stuff. I mean, I studied a lot of the same stuff. Like we all kind of got a lot of the same stuff from the same people. He's done a really good job of obviously growing his following and the drills and everything. I've definitely taken some of the drills from him, which I told him I was going to take. Frank, Eric, to keep my squat during the downswing, I tend to have to put weight in my heels. Does that seem right? Yes, it does. So if I were to take my if I just stood up, if I were to do a downswing where I wanted to get my chest down towards the ground, I would put weight back towards my heels to counterbalance that. If I got my chest up, right, then I would put my weight more towards the balls of my feet to counterbalance that. So if I'm standing more straight up and down, my pressure should be more on the balls of my feet. If I'm lower, whether that be through forward flexion or whether that be through me squatting, the pressure would be more back on the heels. So that's a big 10-4 on that one, yes. Where are we at here? Okay. P2. Can you share? No, I cannot.
We do questions.
Nick, Chris, is side bend automatic or do you physically force it? Can you have too much an impact? So is side bend automatic? This is a tricky one. It's like when someone asks me, should I deliberately think about that? So if you, and it's a legitimate question. It's just like it's inherently it's tough to answer because if you are already doing it, then so let's say you say to yourself, hey Chris, I'm going to make a swing, and when you swing, you right side bend subconsciously. You don't consciously think about it. Then yes, it is automatic. Do some people I have not have enough right side bend? Yes, they do not have enough right side bend. So they need to, it's not automatic for them. They need to force it or think about it. Can you have too much right side bend? Yes, you can. Generally speaking, good players have more right side bend, the good ball strikers, than higher handicap players. It depends on other factors, right? Like when I'm coming down like this, the more I straighten or extend my lead leg in the downswing earlier, which is me going up. When I straighten my left leg, my lead hip goes up, right? Which then typically I have right side bend with this. So you look at like a Lee Trevino guy or like a Brooks Koepka, Lee Trevino would do what? He would really be extended here. So he's got to, if he goes up, have a lot more right side bend. If I bent my legs more, then I don't have to have as much right side bend to get to the ball. So my shoulders will be more level through impact if I keep my legs more bent. If I straighten my legs more, I need more right side bend to get down. If I bend my legs more, I don't have to have as much right side bend down to get to the ball. So it really depends on the pattern. But I would say, is it automatic or not? It's a good question. No, it's not automatic unless you do it. David, some days my forearms will just not roll over in the downswing. Any ideas? Not really, man. No, I would record my swing. I'd have work with a coach. I'd identify priorities. I would know the checkpoints I'm looking for. I would do those and exaggerate as much as necessary to do those. Do I have any ideas why your forearms would not roll over? I mean, the same as just normal. Is your face too open? Use your pivot off. Downswing's too steep. I mean, there's a bunch of different, I'd have to be able to see your swing. It's one of those, David, if I could see your swing, I could tell you pretty quickly. Everyone that's on here, CogornoGolf.com, you can post your swing up. I can help you really quickly. Or a 3-day golf school, even better. Either hit it dead straight, but more of a draw. Never really hit a fade. Hit it dead straight. That's fine. That's good. Good. Beautiful. Craig, Eric, morning from Australia. Good morning. Late afternoon over here. Good morning to you. What's your best thought or drill to help eliminate pulling down hard with the arms? If you follow George Genghis stuff, he always does he'd been doing the drills like the stick on or the towel on the box. I was just doing something before I was showing someone. You could do something along the lines of go up to the top of the swing here like so. Keep your left hand on, take your right hand off, put your right hand underneath your left hand like this, and push up with your right hand as you start to work down, or at least don't push down with your left hand. Keep your left hand up longer as you begin a pivot motion, just to feel what that feels like to keep your arm back, your lead shoulder back, left arm against your pec, et cetera, et cetera. So that could be one drill to do so. And then like I would do some where you actually stop and freeze, like do some swings where you actually go up to the top of your swing, pause for a full second, feel like your hands stay up like that, and start opening your body lines up, really soft grip pressure and soft arms from there. And don't care how you hit it, and record it and see where you're trying to get to. The kind of checkpoint with the arms coming down or not is by the time you get back down to lead arm parallel, once you get back down to about here, your knees should be lined up parallel to the target. That's kind of how you know. Meaning, if your hands get to your pec or past your pec and your legs and your knees still aren't parallel to the target, then we would say, hey, your arms and hands came down too fast relative to your body lines. Jack, thank you. You are very welcome. I enjoy having you here. Mark, a little off topic, but can you recommend some back exercise to prevent lower back pain? Not really. No, I mean, for me personally, like I've had back problems my whole life. My back problems have gone away when I strengthened the areas above and below them. So like when I strengthened my glutes and then my core, and some direct lower back work, then I get stronger. So any different exercise, now again, I'm no like doctor, physical therapist, chiropractor, but when I strengthen my core and my glutes and even some quads and I open my hips up, then my lower back problems really all went away. So I would maybe start there. Absence of, yeah, I would work with maybe a physical therapist or something on that. Do you have a standard putting grip you teach? I mean, putting grip probably out of everything is the most variable. Like you can do so many different things. I like to have the shaft, like if I were to teach a new golfer who has, no habits or anything, I would get the club kind of working more parallel with my forearms. So this would be parallel with my forearms like this. So if I were to grip it in my fingers, like a normal grip, that would sit on a much different plane than my forearms. For me to have the club on my forearm line, I got to grip it like this, which is really far in my palm of my hand, like so. And the same thing with my left hand. If I wanted to get this on my forearm line, I have to grip it like this, right? Which is, for me, really far in my palm. So it would go up like this area of my left hand and this area of my right hand, very much in the palms, almost like you're going to take it and kind of put your hands like this, palms facing each other, like you're doing a little prayer type of thing. And I'm going to go like this. So if I go here and I hold my hands out, that putter to my elbow on one line, and I would keep that and I'd bend over until I got down to the ground. And that would be about how I would do the putting, more or less like a super stock grip. Bruce, when I was learning to golf, I would lift my left heel. I changed this and kept my heel down. Now at 59, I'm losing distance. I think I'm letting my left heel out. I would recommend that, yes. I think a lot of the great players used to lift their left heel, and then someone, I don't know who, decided it wasn't a good idea anymore and taught people to keep their left heel down, maybe for like more stability. And I think that's maybe a little silly. So yes, I definitely like you lifting your left heel. I would let that rip. Cheers. Okay, good grief. I gotta lay it down flat. Okay. Been struggling with strike/low point. I have limited shoulder flexibility, causing a lot of tension. Can't get past parallel. Saw Corey Connors with a few weeks with a bent left arm. I tried this and found him hitting better with a few more yards. Yeah, so usually when you have a lack of shoulder mobility, like that's kind of all sounding like you don't get a ton of turn during your backswing. So if I have a lot of turn, like if my arms are going to bend or not, it's usually directly related to how much turn I can have. Meaning, if I make a backswing and I don't turn a lot, let's say only 45 degrees, the only way I can go to about here with my arms straight, and the only way I can keep the club going is if I do what? I bend them. Now, if I take that 45-degree shoulder turn and get it all the way back to 90, now I easily have room to have more width, left arm more straight, right arm wider. So it's really all about turn. Now, if you can't turn physically enough to do that, then that's okay. Then yeah, you can have a little bit more bent here, and then you could have some more straightening when you go down. The issue is a lot of times you're going to run into when you get narrow at the top is a lot of times you're going to get narrow in transition with a very bent right arm, and then the shaft gets vertical. So you just have to make sure if you're going to do that, a lot of times from here too, you're going to want to tilt to shallow. So if you're narrow, you're going to want to tilt to shallow instead of having width when you turn. So there's just some things you got to keep an eye out for. Let's see. Griffin, hi Eric. For a right-handed golfer at address, where do you prefer your right arm elbow pit facing? I've had some luck with a stronger grip in that elbow. Yeah, so it depends on your grip pattern. So if I were to take my setup and had a really weak grip, which would be right arm more on top, my armpit would be facing more towards the target. It'd be slightly to the right of the target. With a neutral grip, it's probably about 45 degrees. If you have a much stronger grip, the right arm will be more bent and the elbow will face more straight away from you. So I usually would recommend a more neutral grip. So if I just went stock, so V's at my right collarbone, then my right arm would have a neutral amount of bend, and then my armpit would be, or my elbow would be like 45 degrees kind of away from me. Yeah, I don't think I've ever got that question before. Let's see.
First timer?
That might have been the first timer, yeah. Harvey, there's a popular teaching saying you advocates connection and turning hips, shoulders, arms to the top at the same time versus the X Factor, folks from a while back. What do you think? Yeah, I think X Factor got really overplayed. The idea of trying to turn the shoulders against the hips with no hip turn. I would advocate more hip turn. You know, there's a stock thing out there that says 45 degrees of hip turn, 90 degrees of shoulder turn, which would have a difference of the two of 45 degrees. I don't think it's a good idea to try and keep your hips from turning and really try and turn your shoulders against it, because you're probably not going to be able to turn as much. I would rather you get more belt buckle turn on the way back so that you have more freedom of motion. I also like the left heel to go up a little bit. I like the left knee to work internally a little bit this way. So you have a lot of freedom of motion to create the downswing pieces. So I like more turn, more motion during the backswing. I wouldn't go more X Factor. Pulling my irons, what are some causes to look for? Could be you're aiming, let's say you're right-handed golfer, could be you're aiming left, ball position could be too far forward, but ultimately swing direction and path too far over the top or from outside in. So depending upon why it happens at some point in time, too steep of a downswing, too outside in and across. If you're hitting straight pulls, you need to fix the swing direction, which for you would be assuming your aim's good and ball position is good. From the top, either getting the club head to work more inside and shallow early, or getting that thing exiting more to the right. If you watch our like fix your slice stuff, I don't know if you have to fix your pulls, but shallow your downswing stuff, we oftentimes will put a practice station in where you would put a stick like this, and you have to swing the club underneath it. We also have a video called How to Fix Your Weak Fade, where the stick's in front, right? And you got to learn to get the club head exiting more to the right past impact would be another way to do that. Hi, Eric. What do you think about the whole Mike Adams thoughts to the screen that he does to determine the type of swing you should have? Is this like a can I plead a fifth thing on this? No. So I don't want to answer this. I like Mike Adams. I like E.A. Tischler. I think they're very intelligent guys. I think they put a lot of pieces together. I have studied golf swings for like 12 years, like really hard. Like, I don't know if there's that many people who are like watching more swings than me. And I've never screened anyone. I never screened any of those swings, but they all seem to kind of do the same things, the checkpoints that we talk about in the videos. So could there be some things in there that I literally don't know about that cause that? For sure, there for sure could be some things. But if I've never screened anyone, I've never screened any of those guys, and they all kind of do the same thing, and my guys all do and hit it good, then I'll leave it at that. Harold, race between arms and hands and buttons on shirt to the ball. Race between arms, hands, and shirt buttons to the ball. Jack Nicklaus said from the top that the hands and arms should win the race. I disagree. Yes, me too. You have to be really careful about listening to guys that are really good players. Someone commented on the thing before about Phil Mickelson's chipping. Phil Mickelson, excellent chipper, absolutely awful advice that he gives on it, right? Like awful for most of you. Like that is what it is. Like I've been teaching golf forever. Phil Mickelson doesn't teach golf. He plays golf. He talks about what he feels. He has a phenomenal hands. He practices way more than all of you. Like it's a different ball game, okay? And same thing with Jack Nicklaus, whatever. But these guys don't know how to teach. It's different, okay? They didn't have video. They didn't do the feedback. They didn't do the recording. They don't know what they actually were doing. Anyway, that aside, disagree. It should be the buttons of your shirt that wins. Yeah. So like in reality, when you go to the top, if your shoulders are turned 90 and your lead arm is on your shoulder plane, like so, your shoulders from there, when you come back down, the left arm parallel should be still 45 degrees closed. Your hands are in line with the right pec. By the time you get down to last parallel, which would be here, your shoulders should be pretty square, just slightly closed, and your hands are in line with your right thigh. So like, should your hands win, should your body win, whatever, feel whatever, hit those checkpoints. Those are measurable, actual things that good players do. So for you to get to the point where your shoulders are 45 degrees and your hands are lining your pec, did you feel your shoulders open or your hands come down? Whatever, that's fine either way. Just hit the checkpoint, you know what I'm saying? I think that's an easier way than get kind of people debating the feels.
Can you give Harold a thanks for me because he's been watching the channel since.
Harold, Mary says, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. David, thanks. Gabe, what's your fitness regime? I go to the gym every day. I do a push-pull leg routine. So like Mondays, I do a heavy push day. Tuesdays, I do a heavy pull day. Wednesday, I do heavy legs. Thursday, I do light cardio. Friday, I do a lighter push day, then a light pull day, and then a lighter leg day. I like that split. I've tried different routines, but I kind of like that. I kind of like that split for me. Push being like chest, shoulders, triceps. Pull being back and biceps for those that might not know about that. Harvey, what are some of the main causes of moving the head toward the target in transition and backing up through impact? Notice JT has some form of this. The problem for the head movement down. So what are some main causes of the head moving toward the target in transition? So when I go backswing, if my head works towards the target, there's some lower body things, but part of that could be too much extension. So if I stand here and I have extension, chest up, belt buckle forward, that makes my head go where? Towards the target. If I stand this way, it makes my head go where? Towards the target, right? If I'm going in this direction. So that could be part of it there like that. You could, on the backswing, be going here like this and have pressure working towards your left leg, and that could have you going forward. You could overdo some of the hip turn, and that could lead to some extension late. I like, if you draw a circle around the head, keep the head in the circle going back. Some guys go down and away a little. Some guys go up a little, but more or less in the circle. And then in transition, depending upon the club you hit, I'd have a slight down and forward motion and then kind of stay on that line with the irons. And with a driver, I'd go here, slight down and forward, but then almost back up, probably a couple of inches with the driver if I'm trying to hit up on it. Let's see. Thanks, Eric. Really appreciate it. You are welcome. Good stuff, Eric. See you tomorrow afternoon. Love it, love it, love it. Looks like Ashton Kutcher. I'll take that. Thank you very much. Oh, 59 face. Okay, I'm going to try and, we have like 15 seconds. So I'm going to try and bang through whatever's on here. Sparkling, self margin, you see, kind of crazy here. Do you actually have triggers for a transition? Do you think a specific spot? I do have triggers for a transition. I like triggers for a transition. It depends on where you're coming from and what you're trying to do. So if you watch some of the downswing videos, then you would see that. I mean, kind of assuming all neutral stuff. If I have a really good backswing, I like the left heel to plant. I like the left knee to go out. I like the left hip to go down and around. I like the left shoulder to stay slightly lower in transition. I like the body to lead the arms and hands. That's assuming normal stuff at the top. I would say rarely do I have people who come in to see me where everything's good, where they can just do that. Usually you have to build stuff in to be able to do that. Have you hit a hole in one? I had one when I was like in 11th grade at Silver Creek Country Club. Then I went bogey, bogey, bogey right afterwards. What's your opinion on the following? Shoulders lead the backswing, hips lead the downswing. Yeah, that's okay. I think some of these things, again, with like opinions, like we can measure these things, right? So we can take our opinions out, thank God. So when we go back, I kind of want not a lot from here to the right thigh, not a lot of hip turn, a little bit of chest, shoulder turn. And then I'm gradually turning my hips and shoulders all the way to the top. In transition to the top, hips are 45, turn, shoulders are 90. When I go to there, to left arm parallel, hips now are where? Square, and shoulders are 45. So there's a 45-degree difference between my hips and shoulders at the top. Still a 45-degree difference in transition to left arm parallel. And then my chest is gradually catching up to my hips the rest of the way through. That's more reality. Thank you. You are very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's what I'm trying to do, right? I'm sick of the opinion stuff. I'm sick of the feel stuff. I'm sick of the whatever. I want to talk about actual stuff. That's what actually people do, that you can give yourself feedback and works. I've been on the other side of it, tried to change my swing for 10 years. Didn't work. Kind of bullshitty stuff, to be honest with you. People talking about what they think goes on it. Like, here's what actually goes on. Let's make this better. So thank you. I appreciate that. Closing. What are your thoughts on closing the knees, result in the backswing? Open up the legs, result in the squat. Yeah, I like that. I like that. So closing the legs, meaning here's the distance between my legs. If I internally rotate my left leg, little Elvis, like this, knee in, that closes the distance. So my knees get closer together as I turn. My trail knee stays where it is, more or less, goes a little bit to the right, but stays there. In transition, if I externally rotate my lead leg, then they get farther. So your legs are a certain distance, they get closer, they get farther. That's a good point. Aaron, what's the main difference with driver swing and long iron setup mostly? Callie, thoughts on the right elbow at top of the backswing? Do you like it tucked in the body more? If you watch earlier in here or watch the external rotation of trail shoulder, I'll go through that more. I like it about 90 degrees at the top, maybe slightly wider. I don't care if you go more external at the top and keep it more on your back line like this, or if you want to have it more forearm parallel to spine line, you just have to match width with that and match your downswing pieces. So either way is cool. Thanks, Eric Mayer. You are very welcome. Okay, everyone on here, we're going to be at 5 o'clock again on Mondays. We have a live lesson drop that's going to drop tomorrow, and then we'll have our normal videos. Again, if you guys have interest in the 3-day golf school, send me a message. It's the best thing you could do. If not, check out CogornoGolf.com. It's $39 a month. You can post your swings on there, and I will give you feedback. Then when you have questions like this, I will answer it directly, and we will fix it so we do not have to guess. And we have all of our courses and a community of people on there. So check out CogornoGolf.com. Don't let the price point be the thing that holds you back with that. Check out the golf schools and check the lesson out tomorrow, and then we'll come back next Monday and do this again. So I hope all is well, and I'll see you guys next week.